You're listening to Your Personal Realtor, hosted by Eric McKenna with RE/MAX Advanced Realtors. Content and sponsorship is provided by Eric McKenna, and the show is brought to you by CallEric.com.
Well, good afternoon, Beaver County, and welcome to Your Personal Realtor. That's right, my friends. It is Wednesday at 2 p.m. This is your humble host, RE/MAX Advanced Realtor Eric McKenna, joined as usual by Mr. Beaver County Radio himself, Sir Frank Sparks.
I don't know all about that, but okay.
You can't deny it. We talk about this every week, Frank. Friends, thank you so much for including us in your Wednesday. Greatly appreciated here. Just to give you some quick background as to what's going on, we've got a very interesting time going on here at Beaver County Radio. We got all kinds of technical issues going on. Actually, yours truly, for a change, is actually all set up. We record our shows, as you know, on video. We broadcast live on Facebook Live as well. That's already starting to populate. Thank you so much. We also record the video and have it edited for our website at calleric.com. Most of our shows are there. This is show number 40. Blessed to have this opportunity. Hard to believe it's number 40 already. But about 37 of our 40 shows are available to watch and listen to for the content within on our website at calleric.com. Frank Sparks is an amazing individual, friends. For those of you who don't know Humble Frank, he is Mr. Beaver County Radio. He's on the air probably, well, without question, more than anybody else at this station. But he also has a dual role here. He is the program director, and he's also the jack of all trades. And I say that very affectionately. It seems like whether it's technology, whether it's lack of technology, whatever it is, Frank's to the rescue.
I go with the flow.
Yes, you do, Frank. But as always, my friend, it's good to have you here.
Thank you.
My adopted co-host. So, what are you thinking? What are you thinking, brother?
I'm thinking that, what'd you do, steal those off of somebody with a light bright or what?
Friends, for those who are listening and not on Facebook Live, every time I come here, it's kind of like it's like an adventure. And what I mean by that is when I come into the studio, there's like all these rooms with a bunch of wires and all this kind of technology, which is like completely not me, so to speak. I don't know what I'm doing, but I go into this one room when Frank's not looking, and it has, I don't know what you call that room, Frank, at the end of the hallway, where there's a bunch of just monitors and rack units of things.
I think it used to be the newsroom once upon a time.
The newsroom. Well, I rummage through there, and I find some of the coolest stuff. So today, I'm sporting what appears to be some early 1970s, would you say?
Somewhere in that ballroom.
Headphones. And they are just booming. They are awesome.
They're rocking it, man.
Now, the problem is, as visually awesome as they are, it sounds like I'm in an echo chamber and I'm on a static radio, so it's not going to last the entire show. Unfortunately, I got to go back to my other ones, but how cool is that, though? These are really retro.
They're beyond retro.
To Brenda and Cindy and James and Kim and Ed and Patrick and Eric and Rob, my cousin Rob Carterman in Washington. Thank you so much for joining us on Facebook Live. It's always rewarding. Friends, we're here every Wednesday from 2 to 4 for our humble little science experiment, and our job is to take your calls here at Beaver County Radio, and if we can get right to those numbers, the two most famous numbers in Beaver County, for that matter, 724-843-1888 and 724-774-1888. Today, we do have an agenda for the show. We're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects in real estate, dual agency. As Frank has a big smirk on his face over there. Because you know my opinions, don't you, Frank? We're going to talk about dual agency, and then we're going to also talk about some bullet points, what you, as a consumer, should consider when hiring a realtor, whether it's a selling agent or you're hiring a realtor to be your buyer's agent. Just want to refresh, enter into some discussions, and just extrapolate on that a little bit there.
I'm not being stupid or facetious or whatever you want to call it, but
You want to bet?
why would you even think about wanting to hire a dual representative? That'd be like getting the same person to prosecute you and represent you in court.
There's a lot of great comparisons, and that certainly is one of them. We will talk about dual agency here during the probably after the first break in this show. We'll get into it a little bit, but I have some very strong opinions on it, and it's not in any way, shape, or form. We're not going to do it in a contentious way. I'm going to be very clear about how it can be done ethically and how it is done ethically by realtors all across the country, for that matter. But we're talking about Western PA. It's not the end of the world if it happens, Frank, but it's nothing that I am comfortable with, and it's not part of my practice. I'll tell you how I came to that conclusion based upon my own experience as a consumer, and then one time that I actually did it, which was early in my career, and how that worked out, and then how I formed my opinion of how it's just not part of anything I want to be involved with as a realtor, and then I'll give you my reasons why. Of course, the phone lines will be open for your discussion as well. It's Beaver County Radio. We're at 1230 WBVP and 1460 WMBA. I'm sitting in the Lachina Drapery and Blind Factory studio here in the luxurious offices and studios of Beaver County Radio in downtown Beaver Falls. And again, friends, thank you so much for joining us. And the weeks go by fast, don't they, Frank? It looked like I was just staring at your ugly mug about 2 days ago. That was a whole week ago. How's that
For
possible?
you, it went quick. I'm glad that even though I got to see the satisfaction of many great people from Beaver County and the surrounding areas and the completion and the compilation of Beaver County Boom, my life was a total disaster last week.
We're going to talk about that.
Getting it ready.
Well, we're going to talk about that.
Glad it's over.
That's an event that I missed, and I would have liked to have been there. Such special hello to my good friend Ken, my client and friend. Good to see you. And Sharon, thank you so much for tuning in on Facebook Live. Really appreciate that, making our little show part of your Wednesday afternoon. To give a brief history again, friends, we used to be on Saturdays. This show started 40 weeks ago. A brainchild of station manager and owner, Mr. Mark Peterson, and Mr. Beaver County Radio himself, Sir Frank Sparks. An idea that was presented to me. We massaged it, and we ran with it. And it's one of the better decisions I've done in my life, and it's one of the very best decisions I ever did as a realtor. So it's great to be with you. It's been very rewarding to me in many ways. I've met so many people, not just in Beaver County, but just through Facebook Live. The show itself has been expanded and has populated all through Western PA. For those of you I've had a chance to actually meet and talk about real estate, thank you. For those that I've met and spoke about real estate and you have hired me as your realtor, I humbly thank you. It's an honor to serve that way. And for those of you who have participated in the show, both on Facebook Live, sending us an email at sold@calleric.com, or have called into the show, you cannot understand how grateful I am that you guys will take interest in this show, and this little quote-unquote science experiment, as we say, has come to fruition. And now I'm happy to share with all of you, this is show number 40. I still can't believe it. I had a feeling that these guys down at Beaver County Radio would probably kick me off the air after about the fourth week. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. Frank might have wanted to do that, but he didn't do that. But again, thank you for joining us. This show is always has what's called an open mic mantra, or an open mic format, meaning that if we're discussing one topic, but you have another topic on real estate that you want an answer to, or if you just want my opinion, or as the youngsters say, my take on the matter, I'd be glad to share that as well. You don't have to stay on the topic that we're working on. But again, today we're going to get into what a dual agency is and why I don't believe in them. And then we're going to take your calls and your questions, your emails. You also can certainly respond on Facebook Live as well. You can always call in at 724-843-1888 and 724-774-1888. Sir Frank Sparks will take that call. We're glad to speak with you. He doesn't bite much, and we will definitely get him on the horse, so to speak.
I think the cyber attack affected us throughout the week.
Well, can you elaborate that? Like, what's going on back here, so our audience knows just generally what's going on? Like, are we okay? Are we like?
We're on the
We're
air.
definitely on the air, which that's in radio. That's always paramount, right? You gotta be on the air. The phones work, so that's a good thing, right?
Everything works. Everything's fine.
The phone works. There's some automation upgrades going on back there, right?
If that's what you want to call them.
Don't make me choke, Frank. Why are you laughing?
There's just a little issue, and I don't know if it's it's a fun issue.
Well, the issue that I will share with our audience is that I came in here today and I was trying to find an extension cord. So obviously that was part of me rummaging through this parts room, so to speak. And I found a bunch of extension cords, Frank, but I don't know how to explain this, but
they don't work.
The holes are too small. I brought them in here; they don't fit. What kind of is that? For audio only? I don't know what that is.
Probably.
Yeah. So obviously I couldn't find the right part, but it's good to. We got to figure it out. We're live, friends. We're recording here live on Facebook, as always do. We're also recording it with a video for Eric.com. Everything's appropriately in position. I said call Eric.com. Did I say Eric.com?
Sure about that?
Do you want to rewind the tape and play it for me?
Because you said Eric.com, and anybody on Facebook Live can verify for me.
Okay.
You said Eric.com.
So are you saying that I don't make mistakes? This is a rarity?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
No, that's not what you're saying. That's not what you're saying at all. Friends, this show is sponsored by some great people.
Oh, you're no fun.
Not today, I'm not. No, I'm actually in a great mood.
You better go get your truck washed.
I know. Well, do you want to explain that one? Because I knew that was going to come up at some point in time, right? I knew it.
Sure. It looks like he was parked under a bunch of pigeons.
Yeah, that's kind of right. I thought you were going to say it was on the set of the movie The Birds.
No, I was trying to be nice.
That's not nice. Yeah, the birds have had a field day with my white truck. They tend to love white vehicles, or is that a myth?
That's a myth.
That's a myth.
Because my black truck that I no longer have.
That's a target too.
Yeah, I have a tree out back of my house, and my wife's car could sit. It was silver. It'd sit there all day, and I wouldn't touch it, and they just would die bomb that truck.
All right. Well, friends, the first part of our show, we typically get all of our niceties out of the way. I want to talk about our sponsors real quick, and then before we go to break, Frank's going to talk a little bit about the event that might have left him deaf. And maybe a few other things here in the last couple of days. I actually fell for that, believe it or not. Friends, Your Personal Realtor is indeed sponsored by some great folks. First off, our good friends at Frags Tags. That's Frags Tags in downtown Coraopolis. Contact the good folks at Frags Tags for all your title and notary and transfer needs. You can reach them at 412-264-3018. Tell our good friends Jonathan and Michelle that I sent you there. Good folks there. Our show is also sponsored by lifestyle and family portrait photographer, Miss Dawn Morris. From infants to toddlers, preteens, and even all the way through graduation and beyond, let Dawn capture those moments, the special moments of your family. View Dawn's creative work at gypsysoulsphotography.com. That's gypsysoulsphotography.com. Or call Dawn today for an appointment. Book your appointment while she can get you in. 412-337-8348. Wonderful photographer. Wonderful. Our show is also sponsored by Miss Leslie Raymond with Union Home Mortgage. You can contact Leslie directly at 412-719-5673. Contact Leslie for all your mortgage needs. Wonderful, wonderful work that she does. I think I need to read this, Frank. This is going to sound real official. In regards to Leslie Raymond with Union Home Mortgage, NMLS 138287, PA license 29666. How about that? Pretty impressive, huh? I think I need to add that. I haven't been directed that I need to, but I think I need to. So there you go. I'm being a little bit forward thinking, if you follow my drift.
Yes.
And last but never least is my good friend who I actually spoke with on the way down here and had a few laughs on the way to the station today, trying to lasso him in for another guest spot. And that's Mr. Matt Pia with Division 9 Home Inspections. Matt's one of the finest home inspectors in the Valley. You can check out Matt's work and his philosophies on how he does his inspections and everything about Matt at Division, the number 9, inspection.com. Again, that's Division, then put in the number 9, inspection.com. And you can reach Matt in regards to his services directly at 412-715-8123. And as always, this show is humbly sponsored by my website, which is calleric.com. That's calleric.com. And that is with, why are you laughing over there? It's calleric.com.
I can't tell you. I can show you off the air, but I can't tell you.
Calleric.com. For that, and that is my website where you can indeed find out my philosophy on real estate and how I work with my clients. Love to work with you and be your personal realtor, but more of that later on. I think it's time I get a break in here, Frank. You can't do it. You can't do it.
I can do it. That clock's right, just so you know.
So again, we're talking about technical proficiency here. We have really? So which clock? I have multitudes of
that clock
clocks
is right.
here.
That's the time clock.
So which clock is that?
It's your cell phone. It's GPS time.
Breitling time is 22 after.
21. GPS time.
Let's go to break. Friends, thank you for tuning in today to Your Personal Realtor. I am your host, Eric McKenna, and we will be right back.
Beaver County stations for news, sports, information, and entertainment. 1230 WBVP Beaver Falls and 1460 WMBA Ambridge. Beaver County stations for news, sports, information, and entertainment. 1230 WBVP Beaver Falls and 1460 WMBA Ambridge.
Oh, we're back.
Jack.
Friends, thank you for joining us here. This is Your Personal Realtor with Eric McKenna, heard on Beaver County Radio every Wednesday from 2 to 4. Thank you for including us in your day. I'm a realtor with RE/MAX Advanced Realtors out of Swickley and Robinson Township. I work with, I would never say work for, of course I'll work with. He wouldn't be happy with me. I work with the wonderful Mr. Mark Hanlovich, my broker. I hope you're out there listening. Mark, thank you for all you have done for me and for what you help me do for my clients. Very, very grateful. And I'm grateful for all of you, too. As always, I'm joined by Sir Frank Sparks, Mr. Beaver County Radio, who is handling all the technical, well, he's proficiently handling all the technical obstacles and Olympics that are going on the other side of what I like to call the big board. Aren't you now?
Trying.
You're doing a great job, Frank. Have I told you that recently? You're doing a great job.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Everybody needs to have that reaffirmation that they're doing a wonderful job.
Positive reinforcement.
Oh, and Frank's got kind of a leadership role at the station, you know. So yeah, how's that? That's kind of like interesting. That's something new for you to some degree. I mean, everybody leaned on you all the time, anyways. But I mean, now there's official capacity as a program director.
It's fun. I enjoy it.
Yeah,
that's part of what you have to do.
Everybody's smiling around here, and that's good. That means that everything's going well.
That's because they got fed on the air today. That's why.
Whoa, back up. Wait. Time out. Now you got my ire up a little. What do you mean they got fed on the air today?
We got fed on the air today.
No. Details, please.
68 feed mill. 68's feed mill. It's at the corner of Route 68 and would be Deer Lane Extension or Marion Hill Road, whatever you want to call it, out on Route 68 heading towards Big Knob Grange, is a new establishment that is cooking food.
Okay.
And it's a breakfast, lunch style restaurant. And they brought us breakfast this morning.
See, I have to talk to someone of authority around here because I'm telling you now, why am I never included in the food stuff here? Why is that?
And the best part was we did Facebook Live.
How did I miss that?
I don't know.
Huh.
We're talking about you, and so you have to go back and watch
the
video.
Oh, great. Yeah,
we said exactly what you're saying.
Probably that I would be a little bit chafed that I was actually, left out of the food deal.
That's exactly what I said. I think actually the word I used was, I hope Eric McKenna's not watching because he'll probably whine because we didn't give him any food today.
Yeah, that's kind of like they're either sending me a message about my waistline, the station is, or I just don't rank high in the totem pole here. But I'm always left out of the food deal. Always left out of the food deal.
There's this one dish, though, and I recommend it to anybody because it just doesn't sound – everything's like barnyard or farm type named.
Like organic, right?
No. It's just like it has names like –
Oh, you mean from a marketing standpoint?
Yeah, from a marketing standpoint. Okay. Like I had this meal that was called Trough Trash. And it was a mix –
Trough Trash.
And it was a mix of everything. And it was very good. It had like potatoes, peppers, onions, sausage, bacon, sausage gravy, and and mushrooms, and then you had 2 fried eggs on top of it.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, I ate like half
Is
of it.
that like a breakfast goulash?
Pretty much, and I ate like half of mine, and then Durzik ate the other half, and I have not eaten since then.
Once
if that tells you
again,
anything.
Your humble host is shut out of the food deal with Beaver County Radio.
There's some in the fridge downstairs still, I think.
Yeah, tell me that while I'm on the air, Frank. Well, that's going to do me,
Yeah,
right?
that was good. Then we had Western omelets, and we had all kinds of goodies.
Well, to our Facebook Live audience, Ed and Jake, thanks so much for adding to the Facebook family. Appreciate that.
You have enough connections. Why don't you have somebody come in here and feed us live on the air?
Maybe I'll do that.
See, you got more connections than I do.
You know, you just gave me an idea.
There you go.
News at 11. You just gave me an idea.
There you go.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. Our topics today are going to be anything that you want to speak about. As always, do not worry that if you have a pressing real estate issue you want to address here, ask a question, you're encouraged to call in, regardless of the topic. 724-843-1888 and 724-774-1888, the two most famous numbers in Beaver. If you're watching on Facebook Live, by all means, you can ask a question on Facebook Live. Frank will probably see it before I do. Me acknowledging Facebook and reading and speaking at the same time on a separate matter just isn't going to happen. Multitasking isn't always my forte. But Frank will relay that message and we'll get an answer for you as well.
Yep.
Or you can send me an email at sold@calleric.com. I'd be glad to address that. So, as I mentioned last segment, we are going to talk today about dual agency. And we'll talk a little bit about the 4 agency agreements that you can enter into with a realtor to serve you, to help you out. That's what we're going to do. So, Frank, I'm going to just ask this right up front for you. Just going to throw this right out there. You're a consumer. You're an educated consumer. And really, in all honesty, we haven't, you and I personally, in all complete disclosure here, on this subject, we've really not spoken at length on it. I mean, I've kind of talked about my opinion of it, but as a consumer, number one, what's your understanding of dual agency?
Well, I would dual to
without
me,
kind of a formal explanation. Just
dual to me would mean that would be somebody playing dual roles.
Very good.
Right?
Very good.
Okay.
That's very good.
Okay.
So
Well,
we're gonna run with that.
First.
Okay. So you're right. Dual agency is the opportunity. Typically, it happens in this particular way. Someone lists a home. So you are the listing agent. You are the listing realtor of a home, and a buyer presents themselves. Whether the buyer comes through an open house or a referral, or they call you out of the blue to see the house. You show them the house, and this buyer does not have a realtor under contract or is not working with a realtor, and they are going to use you to submit the offer. So you're going to represent them as the buyer's agent. So you are now the listing agent, and you are also the buyer's agent. Right off the bat, to anyone, that should be a huge question mark that should pop into the space above your head. Like, number one, why is that a good idea? Number two, is that ethical? Number three, is it legal? And number four, how's that going to really affect me, the consumer? And those are things we're going to talk about here. Because number one, it can be done ethically. I know realtors that do it every day all across Western Pennsylvania. And while I am not comfortable with it, me personally, I do acknowledge that there's a lot of satisfied clients out there who have been in dual agency circumstances. So, we're not knocking anybody.
I would think there would be positives and negatives. And one of the positives, as I sit here and think about, might be the fact that would you save money by having the same person represent you? But then again, on the other hand, that would probably tick me off a little bit is the fact that there's no really controlling on what you're charged because they're collecting for selling and collecting for buying.
Well, traditionally, let's back up for a second. So very good points. I mean, you're right. You're right on there. Traditionally, in real estate, the seller wants to sell the house. They bring the realtor in. They agree to a commission. That commission is then split. It can be 50-50, 60-40, depending on what the selling agent wants to do. They split that commission and offer the other half or the other portion to any buyer's agents or to any buyer's agents, any brokers out there. Meaning, if Sally X works for Howard Hanna, that contract would offer so much to Sally. So in the end, a buyer does not actually, in most instances, there's definitely examples of everything here. There's no rule of thumb. There's an exception to everything. I want to say that up front. But generally, the buyer's agent works for the buyer for for practically nothing. Now, every broker's got usually a small administration fee at the end of the closing. Some do, some don't. Some circumstances warrant there being one, some warrant there not. But in most instances, the buyer will not pay any commission to their agent. It all comes out of the portion that the seller agrees to with their listing agent. You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Advantages of a dual agency. Do you hear crickets? I can't honestly think of any. You mentioned the reduction in commission. I heard it on a few occasions that maybe the seller was able to negotiate a smaller commission total because the listing agent had both sides. I've heard that on occasion. Haven't ever seen that in play, but I'm guessing that certainly happens. Not the way I would do business as a realtor at all. But let's just back up for a second, too. Frank brought a very, very good point in, just in hearing with the concept of a dual agency. If you're in a court trial and let's back up. Someone hits you in your brand new car, Frank. Just T-boned you.
I'll be in court.
Just T-boned you, right? They just T-boned you. No injuries, but the car is destroyed. All of a sudden now, they don't have insurance. All of a sudden, Frank, you get served that you're being sued. This person was unethical, and they're going for blood. And although you were T-boned, you're being sued. Now, how egregious as that is, of course, but that could happen. Would you not agree?
Oh, I'm sure it could.
So, Attorney Smith sends you a letter on behalf of their client telling you you're being sued. Well, obviously, you need to go out and get an attorney, right? Would you hire Attorney Smith to represent you while he's already representing the person, the plaintiff, against you? I mean, that's absurd, isn't it?
I agree.
It's totally 100% absurd. And again, it's kind of a strange analogy there, but in reality, that's what you're doing. Okay? Friends, what happens is simply this. This is the way real estate works, and there's nothing wrong with that. We all list homes. I love to do that. We hang our signs underneath there, our rider signs with our name. I have calleric.com on there. Very proud of that. Traditionally, that's obviously to bring, number one, to show that, hey, you're a successful full-time agent working in listing homes. Be proud of that. I get that. But oftentimes, buyers that have not entered into a contract with an agent, or they just don't have a realtor under service, they will call that number. Happens to me all the time. I get questions and calls. Hey, can I see, 123, Jones Drive? Sure. The agent will then show the new quote unquote buyer the property. The buyer wants to put an offer in. They like the house, meets their needs, and they go right to someone like myself, who's the lister. The lister then has a dilemma, okay? Because with the approval of both sides, the approval of the seller and the approval of the buyer, that listing agent can now represent both, and that is a dual agency. Now, let's talk about my personal preference and why I don't believe in it. As we just talked about sharing an attorney with your plaintiff, how absurd that is. To me, there's so many facets involved to a real estate transaction, not the least the negotiation. I can't give my very best. I can't be my very best for both sides of a transaction. I'm being bluntly honest with you. I would, if I was forced by gunpoint to do it again, I would certainly do my very best, and I would do it with the utmost of ethical behavior. I would.
I think the only person I would trust to do something like that would be somebody like you that's my friend. Other than that, my personal opinion is you would have to be a flipping moron to let somebody do that.
It happens every day.
That's hard to believe.
It happens.
Wow.
Well, hey, I want to talk in a second about how I was one of those persons who agreed to it.
Okay.
I actually took a dual agent on before I was in the business. I did
Okay.
it. And then early in my career, I actually did one dual agency, and we'll talk about that and why, although it went flawless and I had two fantastic clients, both on the buying and selling end, I didn't like the way it felt. I couldn't be my best to both sides, and I made a decision at that time I would never do it again. And we'll get into all those particulars on the other side of the break. This is Your Personal Realtor with Eric McKenna on Beaver County Radio, and we'll be right back. Hello, friends. This is Remaxed Advanced Realtor Eric McKenna with CallEric.com and host of Your Personal Realtor on 1230 WBVP and 1460 WMBA. I really hope you are enjoying today's show. Friends, did you know that I can be your personal realtor? That's right. If you're looking to list your home or buy a new home, call or text me today at 412-613-4466. That's 412-613-4466. Or send me an email at sold@calleric.com. That's sold@calleric.com. I just love it when listeners become clients. So why not contact me today and let me put my social media advertising to work for you. Together, we can reach your real estate goals. This is Your Personal Realtor, Eric McKenna, with Remaxed Advanced Realtors and CallEric.com.
Beaver County's hometown radio stations, 1230 WBVP Beaver Falls and 1460 WMBA Ambridge.
Okay, friends, we're back. You're listening to Your Personal Realtor with Eric McKenna, Remax Advanced Realtor, and happy to be with you here every Wednesday from 2 to 4 p.m. on Beaver County Radio, 1230 WBVP and 1460 WMBA. This show is sponsored by my website, which is calleric.com. Encourage you to visit there. Pay me a visit at calleric.com. And we have some great sponsors on this show as well. It's our good friends Frags Tags for all your title and notary needs in Coriopolis, 412-264-3018. Lifestyle, family, and portrait photographer Dawn Morris. Visit Dawn at gypsysoulsphotography.com. You can call Dawn at 412-337-8348 to book your appointment.
Dude, that is as cool a name as Frags Tags.
Gypsy Souls Photography.
I love it.
It is awesome. She does great work, too.
I say, so Dawn must be a gypsy inside. That's why she...
Yeah, she probably would agree with you on there.
Okay,
But her website, you'll get a good feel for how she works with color.
Cool.
She's awesome. Mortgage agent Leslie Raymond with Union Home Mortgage. Contact Leslie for any mortgage concern. I know I send a lot of buyers and a lot of friends there. She does wonderful work. I'm in compliance here, I think. MNLS 138287 and PA license 29666. And of course, last but never least, Mr. Matt Pia from Division 9 Home Inspection. Matt is one of the finest home inspectors in the Valley, bar none. Contact Matt at 412-715-8123 and visit Matt at division, then the number 9, inspection.com. Make sure you tell Matt I sent you. He owes me a couple lunches.
Wow.
We're trying to get, I know, right? We're trying to get Matt on the air. Matt's a frequent guest on the show. Matt doesn't like dual agency either. As a matter of fact, it's probably a good thing he's not here today because although he's not a realtor, he's in the sphere. Oh, you'd egg him on.
I was going to say, I'd egg him on and I'd have more broken things.
Yes, probably. Yes, you'd have more. Matt does not go for dual agency as well either. My old friend Sean Foster is checking in from the West Coast. Sean, how are you? Good to see you on Facebook Live. Friends, the way to participate in the show, and it doesn't have to be about our topic. If you got a pressing real estate concern or issue and you want to vent or you want to talk, by all means, call me. Would love to answer any questions or concerns you have or just hear a funny story. Love to hear it. Frank loves funny stories. 724-843-1888 and 724-774-1888. Those are Beaver County numbers and the two most famous numbers in Beaver County. So, one last thing before we get back to our subject. I want to say hello to the wonderful, wonderful people of the Facebook group Moon Connects. They are the official Facebook. That's right. Let me repeat myself. They are the official Facebook group of Your Personal Realtor with Eric McKenna. Hello to the moderators, the originators, and the creators of that Facebook group, Mr. Stephen Dish and Miss Caroline Trunzo. Thank you for all the support and love. It is reciprocated, I assure you. It's always good when your wife is watching. Hello. Good to see you, Natalie. What I also wanted to say before we get into dual agency is I Could not do this show without my great friend, producer, not the Grand Poobah. He's the junior Grand Poobah around here. We know Mr. Peterson's the Poobah.
No,
I'm going to call you, you're a Grand Poobah in training. Mr. Beaver County Radio himself, Sir Frank Sparks, thank you. This show would not go without you. And especially today, because guess what, friends? If he wasn't pressing the right buttons over there, this show would not go because we have a multitude of issues going on in here at the moment.
Mother Nature loves us.
Yeah, and Frank's one of those guys, like he'll come into the studio and he'll go, oh, this isn't working right now. I can't get this to work, and it sounds fatalist to me. And I'm like, what do you mean? And then he just smiles, and all of a sudden the show starts on time. So you got to quit doing that to me because you're going to send me into a pure panic. You follow what I'm saying? You're going to send me into a pure panic. We are talking dual agency here. So we put kind of the cart before the horse. We're going to talk about my preferences and why I don't believe in it. Obviously, the different kind of agencies you can have. You can have a buyer agency agreement. That means you're buying a home and you enlist a realtor to help you through the process, to be your fiduciary, okay, to have that relationship that they will work and negotiate, and they will corral all of the moving parts and put them in a nice package for you and get you to closing and hopefully maintain that relationship and beyond. That's a buyer's agency.
Okay.
Seller agency is just, as you can imagine, kind of the same thing, but the role is a little different in that there's a lot of marketing that goes in there, and that's what I love to do. Social media marketing, listings for my house. They help you derive a price for your home. They help you understand the things you need to do before listing. They list the house for you. They're creative with their photography and their video, and they're a marketer, hopefully. You need a marketer today in the year 2017. Very, very important. Got to have a marketer. Then they negotiate, very important. They negotiate the sale, the actual initial agreement. From there, the buyer will do inspections, and you're going to negotiate back with the buyer if there's things that need to be corrected. And from that point on, you move on to closing. And hopefully your agent will be wonderful, and you retain a relationship with them as the seller going forward. Dual agency, as we're talking about today, being the third, means that one person, one realtor can handle both the buyer and the seller. And as it opens up a whole can of worms. And I will say, realtors are doing it effectively all across the country, but all across western Pennsylvania, southwestern Pennsylvania every day. We're not here to knock realtors, but I am here because this is my show to talk about my preferences in regards to real estate and explain my preferences. I owe that to you as to why I feel the way I do about dual agency or any other matter. So I'm going to tell you today why I don't do dual agency and why I don't like it and why I think it probably just doesn't serve the buyer or the seller or the consumer very well. And these are, again, my opinion. These are Eric McKenna's opinions. So we're not here to disparage anybody. Be very, very careful about that. I like to say, I told my client the other night, I said, they watched one of my videos, Frank, and they said, well, Eric, we know you don't like dual agency or you think it's terrible. I said, well, terrible is a tough word. Okay. It's not, in my opinion, something I'm comfortable with. Let me leave it at that. I am not comfortable with it. I can't give my best to both sides, and we'll get into that in a minute. Mm-hmm. The other thing is designated agency, which means this is kind of interesting too. Technically, if Frank and I both work for the same broker, we both can be involved in the same deal. Frank may have the buyer under his practice. I would have the seller under my practice, but it's being handled by the same broker. You see what I mean? The broker is dual, but the agents are different. This I'm comfortable with, meaning, quite frankly, I have done multitudes of deals with when I was at Howard Hanna, other Howard Hanna agents, and at RE/MAX, I've done other deals with actual agents in my own brokerage of RE/MAX, my specific RE/MAX brokerage. This is fine. It can be done completely ethically. Again, the ethics part of it is simply up to the agent, and that's why I go back. Some people are comfortable with dual agency. They're fine with it. And based upon the way they've done business and their history and their reputations, I'm sure they're doing a fabulous job. I don't do it. I don't believe that it represents the clients in the best way. I don't think that I get to be the very best realtor I can be. And I just disagree with it. I think there's a better way to go. And those are the four types of agencies. So, Frank, I promised you I'd tell you about my reasons why I don't like dual agency.
Okay.
But on the face of it, I know you're raring to go over there. I know you're raring to go. Your opinion before I even get into it?
No, go ahead. I'll serve. I'll
okay.
serve.
Okay.
I'm being conservative.
Okay.
Too.
Well, no. This is good. This is good. Frank is my adopted co-host in the show. As you know, he is not a realtor. He is, although he'd make a great one, that's for sure. Based on his personality and his work ethic, he'd be an amazing realtor. But I don't want you to do that because I like your role now. Okay, I'm just letting you know. Don't be leaving tomorrow and going to real estate school. It's not permitted. I'm just laying.
That's one thing I don't think you'd ever have to worry about.
I'm just laying that out there for you. But okay. So when my wife and I bought our home many years ago, before I was a realtor, neither one of us being that savvy, honestly, about real estate. I can't pretend to be someone I'm not. I was a guitar dealer, and my wife works for American Airlines. She's a flight attendant. We have a great life, but we're not real estate savvy. So we found a home we loved, and we did what a lot of people do. We called the name that was on the sign, spoke to a very nice agent who had a great reputation, still has a great reputation. No worries there. And we went through the process. Now, I'm always the toughest critic because I'm analyzing the process we went through as opposed to how I handle my clients. And every realtor does things a little different. It's not a knock against who we used. It really isn't. But if you had to really, put me on the spot and ask, am I completely happy with how it happened? Yes, I was happy when it happened. And I was happy with that transaction up until I became a realtor. And as a more seasoned realtor now, I am not happy that we were not afforded a lot of the things that a buyer's agent would have been able to provide us. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, in theory, we should have been able to receive the same kind of service, but we just, in all honesty, we didn't get it. We just didn't get it. And I had to reflect on this quite a bit, and it cost, I think not having our own agent cost us money. It cost us time. I can assure you it cost us a tremendous amount of aggravation in terms of extra legwork. We were not fully informed on different kinds of loans. And again, part of that's our responsibility as well. But to me, as a buyer's agent, it really is important that I help connect my buyers with great mortgage lenders that can provide many options, and multiple ones that can provide different kinds of options. Now, granted, some buyers are already taken care of. They got their pre-approval. They know where they want to go. They've been explained all the different kinds of mortgages and seller assist options and everything else. That's great. I have buyers I meet that way. They're already taken care of, and it's wonderful. I love it. I love it when a client is engaged and they already have this figured out. Kudos to them. But a lot of my buyer clients are starting from scratch, literally starting from scratch, and they don't have it. Some of them are even like I was many years ago, so uninformed in real estate, about real estate, which is completely fine, but they're so uninformed, they actually think that the realtor takes care of their mortgage, and it's not a stupid assumption because it happens quite a bit, and let's face it, the bulk of us don't sit and deal with real estate every single day. We'd have no reason to. So it's my job as a buyer's agent, obviously, to take that initial or take the inception of this relationship with a client and fully explain everything that needs to be done along the way. Put the game plan together. And part of that game plan is making sure right away they have a great opportunity at a great mortgage with a great local mortgage rep that's going to not just hold their hands, but provide us a working relationship and a game plan to get them to closing. It's a very important part. It's very, very important. So I just don't think we were afforded that. Now, what's interesting is, and this is what I think you were alluding to, we were discussing this a little earlier, is sometimes we don't know how good we have life or how bad we have life unless an alternative has been made, we've been made aware of. Would you not agree?
Oh, I definitely agree.
Okay, because I will tell you that when we went through the process, I thought, well, that was kind of torturous, but I guess that's what it is to buy a home. I didn't even think of the idea of dual agency and how the implications, I just really didn't think about it. And I think that happens very often with buyers and sellers for that matter who, are very trusting and they, just think, hey, this is the way things are done. And, I don't really understand all these different things, but my realtor will take care of it. And generally, realtors and real estate agents do a great job taking care of things. So my point to you is, until I got into the business, I didn't fully understand the implications of actually using the same agent as the lister, you using a dual agent. It wasn't apparent to me. Now that I'm in the business and I see the fallacy of that, and I see the detriment to the consumer, and I see the inequality, or just, how can I say it? Each side is not getting everything they should get from an agent, especially on the negotiations and the fiduciary relationship and the confidentiality and all that good stuff. Just not getting it if you don't have your own agent. And that was not apparent to me again until I got into the business, and that's why I want to talk about it today. And I would encourage anyone who's ever had a dual agency, if you're out there and you bought or sold a home with dual agency, and you have a story to tell. Again, we're not looking to punish, and we're not looking to we're going to be very tasteful and very tactful one here, because again, so many realtors out there doing great jobs with dual agency. It works for them. A lot of ethical circumstances, they can handle it good, and it can be done ethically. Again, I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm just saying I don't do it because I don't think it's the best thing for my client, or both clients in this instance. You follow what I mean? Mm-hmm. Not bad, huh?
No, not bad.
But we're going to get into it, and I can't believe the first hour of the show is almost gone, Frank.
History.
Unbelievable. Before we go today, we got to talk a little Pirates. You promised that, right?
Yeah, Max Moroff's leading off tonight. How about that?
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about that specific circumstance, but we will. My good friend Ian McCurdy is checking things out here on Facebook Live. That's awesome. Hey, Frank gave me a little countdown.
That's
here.
right on.
It's a countdown to when I got to sign off for the news, huh? So not one.
Well, see, that's the good thing about doing everything by hand.
We're turning the clocks backwards today, friends. I assure you, we're turning things back. We're going to come on the other side of the break, get into some specifics on dual agency. I'm going to talk about my first deal the first and only deal that I ever did with dual agency. How it went off pretty well, but we'll talk about why I don't do it anymore, indeed. And we'll get into some other issues just too. You can join the show, as always, 724-843-1888 and 724-774-1888, the two most famous numbers in Beaver. I encourage you to join us. Send me an email at sold@calleric.com. We got two of them coming in as we speak right here. And reach out on Facebook Live. Go to Facebook, type in Eric McKenna. You'll find our live feed there. Love to have you join the show. Whew, I got it all done. Friends, you're listening to 1230 WBVP in Beaver Falls and Chippewa, and 1460 WMBA in Ambridge and Coriopolis. And right now, it is time for Town Hall News.
Beaver County stations for news, sports, information, and entertainment. 1230 WBVP Beaver Falls and 1460 WMBA Ambridge.
And we're back. How about that?
Jack?
Yeah, I'm going to try to get my microphone to actually work here, Frank. Now, I'm having technical difficulties over here. Jeez. Ooh. What did you... you had me down the mix. See, this is like the trials and tribulations of local radio. And when you have a producer who's a prankster at heart. He's a kid at heart.
Always will be.
Friends, thank you for entering the second half of Your Realtor with Remax. What are you doing to me? I'm going to start this over now.
Nothing.
I cut where I couldn't hear myself.
What's going on?
We're going to try. Enough.
I didn't
Enough.
do nothing.
Yes, you did.
See? I didn't do nothing. See? It's all you.
No, I'm not
Listen to
working.
that great music in the background. All right. Go ahead.
Fanfare, they call that, Frank.
Whatever. I call it cymbals.
Well, hey, we're going to start again. Hello, friends, and welcome to the second half of Your Personal Realtor with Eric McKenna. Heard every Wednesday from 2 to 4 on Beaver County Radio. I am your humble host, REMAX Advanced Realtor, Eric McKenna, and I'm joined by the person on the other side of the big board from me here,
Finally,
Sir Frank
you call me.
Sparks. Sir Frank Sparks. How are you, Frank?
I'm good. How are you?
All right. Well, we're talking about dual agency, one of Frank's favorite subjects, I know. He hasn't fallen asleep yet, though, which is pretty good. That's pretty good. We're also going to talk about why I don't do dual agency. We'll get into that a little bit, too. I want to say hello to all the friends on Facebook Live. Jeff D'Amico, a good friend of mine. Preston, thanks for popping in there. You definitely, all of you, have made this show better. You made the engine go, and we are on show number 40. We didn't talk about that. This is show 40. I've put up with you for 40 shows.
That's not true.
36 shows.
Maybe less, but you're
34
close.
shows.
Something like that.
It's still a long
I
time,
know.
Frank.
It is. That's almost a full year.
All kidding aside, thank you for including us. The purpose of this show, friends, if you don't already know, for the wide area listening coverage of Beaver County Radio and for Facebook Live, is we try to demystify real estate here amongst all the goofing around and all the fun and a little bit of sports talk thrown in here. But we like to talk real estate with you, and you can reach us on the two most famous numbers in Beaver County. The numbers for Beaver County Radio, 724-843-1888 and 724-774-1888. Feel free to call and ask any real estate questions you have. If we don't have the answer, we'll get it for you, but we'll do our darndest. You know, I have a big real estate dictionary here hidden that Frank's actually using to prop up a table. Maybe I can be able to use that if we don't have the answer for you. But it's great to be here, and I will share this with the audience before we get into our subject here of dual agency. Very humbling this week. I got another client that I contacted about a prospect, or I hate those terms. That's just such real estate terms. I had another friend that heard our show. A new friend called me, and when I went out and spoke about their two properties they had and some of the concerns they had about one of the structures, and very productive talk. Again, they fed me again, Frank. I don't know what it is with the great people of Beaver County, but they feed me every time I go out.
It's all about, man.
These Danishes were unbelievable. But had a great conversation, and they hired me, which is extremely humbling. And, you know, that came of this show and my ability to reach out and touch other people about the work that I do here in Beaver County and beyond. And it's been great, and that is very rewarding. And for that, I am eternally grateful, not just to grow my practice, but to also do what I love. And that's like, you know, the joy of life. Many people much wiser than me have said the joy of life is when you can marry what you really, truly enjoy, the passion that you have for life, and make a living out of it. That's kind of like the closest you'll come to utopia, they say. I don't know if that's true, but
I did that on April 1st.
You did that on April 1st?
Yes.
When you get your promotion?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's what I thought it was a trick question, Frank. April 1st is
when I quit doing what I was doing to come work what I've always wanted to do my whole life full time.
Okay. Well, and again, as everyone here should know, if you don't know, if you're just tuning in, Sir Frank Sparks, my producer, my friend, my adopted co-host, although he hates that, but Frank is also not only Mr. Beaver County Radio, because he's on all the time, it seems like anyways, except Saturdays. And Frank is also
That's not true.
Oh, no. So the program director of Beaver County Radio is effective April 1st, and we congratulate Frank. You're doing a heck of a job. You're doing a heck of a job, partner.
You forgot about the lead lap. That still is on Saturdays.
Well, Frank has a show on this station that my show used to follow it. It's called The Lead Lap. It's a racing show, which, you know, most of it goes right over my head. but that's how I was actually introduced to Frank. Outside the very first meeting we had to formulate the show. But I used to come in, and while Frank was doing his lead lap, I was making all kinds of crazy noises around here because I'm setting things up, and we'd started the video, and I don't think you had any idea what kind of ball of confusion was rolling in here in the beginning, but we made it through. And Frank still has so you're still doing Saturdays?
Sure.
Yeah. In theory, yes. Frank is heard on this to your station, Beaver County Radio, on Saturdays. I want to send out a huge hello to my good friend Jonathan Fragapane from Frags Tags, and my great friend and client and coach of my son for baseball, Mr. Eric D'Antonio.
All right.
Checking in with me. Good to see you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in.
I see you sitting there representing.
Eric, if you're still dialed in a Facebook Live, partner, do you see the hat I got? Yeah. What about this hat?
It's
nice hat, isn't it?
Yeah, nice Clemson hat.
Moon Tigers. There you go.
Unusual to see you without Oakland A's on.
Or a Remax hat.
Or a Remax.
Yeah. Today I wore a Moon Tigers hat. As you younger people say, I gotta represent.
Yeah, you gotta represent younger people. I'm older than you, aren't I?
No, you're not. I wish you were, but you're not.
What year did you graduate from high school?
83.
Okay, so I'm a year younger than you.
Well, actually, we're the same age. I started a little early. So
okay.
I should have been a class of 84, but
that's what
Cornell High School.
Okay, that's what I am, class of 84.
I survived it.
Nah, what are you going to do?
No. It's very good memories in my life, and I'm back in my hometown.
Yeah, that's cool.
It is cool.
Guess I got to go back to watching you on Facebook Live.
You need to go back to work. Yes, friends, we are talking about dual agency here today. And basically what that is in a nutshell, to refresh what we encapsulated in a very long-winded explanation last segment.
Something you don't want to do.
No. Yeah. Frank, want to say that again?
Something you don't want to do.
Dual agency is where the real estate agent, or hopefully a realtor you're using, hopefully. I think all real estate agents should be realtors. That's a whole nother discussion, what they should be. If you are listing your home and you have a listing agent, you are allowing them to also represent any buyer that comes to you. And I don't believe in it. It's very ethical and very legal on the books and can be done, correctly. It's done correctly every day by realtors all over the country, and more specifically in southwestern Pennsylvania. It's not part of my practice. I also started to explain why. The first part of it was it's not part of my practice because I had that happen to me as a consumer, and it wasn't until I became an agent / realtor myself that I realized that was not the best decision that I made. Number two, I actually did one. I kind of fell into it, believe it or not. When I first started in my practice, I didn't have the intention of doing it at all. And then I fell into it where I was, one of those moments where I probably, had a yes or no decision to make, and I decided to do it. And I can't say I regret it. And I'll tell you why, Frank. Tell you why.
Why is that?
I don't regret it because luckily, by the grace of God, it was a tremendous transaction. I had a wonderful, wonderful seller, one of the finest sellers I ever had. And what happened was a gentleman and his daughter walked in to my life as a buyer who ended up becoming a great friend. And for my little universe at that moment in time, and for that particular transaction, because those two parties really kind of just went right at each other together in a very complimentary and a humble and a very positive way, it was rather easy for me. At the same time, when we got into inspections and all that, it still was easy. There wasn't any hard negotiations or any of that stuff. But I constantly reflected on the fact that, wow, I've had certain conversations with the seller, and they never talked about the particulars about what their bottom was and all this negotiation stuff. But they were very, they were fiduciary. They obviously were fiduciary conversations. And I'm having conversations with the buyer who was in a position where he really loved the house and wanted it, and it really was very positive in the negotiation. So while I didn't have any kind of conflict in my head that was very heavy, because I didn't know any secrets or particulars or anything on either side, I did have to step back and say, wow, I don't think I'm ever going to try this again. And here's why. What if my conversation with my lister is such that, they just tell me a significant amount of information regarding their financial position, or they choose to share a bunch of information about where they must be with a property, with how do I say this? What their absolute bottom was. We have that kind of conversation. So I kind of know where their absolute bottom would be. And then all of a sudden, a buyer enters the picture, and I start working with that buyer. Of course, there's no way I can reveal to that buyer what my seller has said about their cash position. But if the buyer comes to me and says, I'm kind of limited on funds, this is where I'm at, this is what I think of the property. Eric, what do you think I should offer? I'll think about that for a second. You don't have to be a realtor to understand the dilemma there, right? You don't even have to be thinking about selling your house or buying your house right now to understand that dilemma. How in good conscience can any individual, if they know particulars from a seller in regards to their bottom line and some of their negotiation, some of the positives and negatives, the things that they can and cannot do in negotiation, how then can you go work with a buyer who's going to reveal what they can and cannot do to a certain degree, and then ask your opinion what they should offer? Do you see the conflict there, Frank?
Oh, yeah. There's big conflict.
Do you see it?
Yeah.
Now, what happens often that, I hear this all the time. This is what I hear all the time. And I take everybody, especially realtors. I mean, I got a very high respect for my fellow realtor. I do. I have very high respect. I hear all the time, well, when I take a listing, I explain to them that I do want to do dual agency, or I reserve the right to do dual agency. I want to see how they feel about that. If they're okay with it, then, that's fine. But I always tell them I don't want them to share with me, what their bottom is. Mm-hmm. I really don't want to know that because, I may have a buyer that I'm going to bring, and I have to be ethical. Now, that's a fair statement to make. There's no question.
Right.
On the converse, though, the way I look at it, if I am the listing agent, would I not want to have that lister confide in me and be open and honest with me in everything they're comfortable with telling me? The more information I have about where they are and what their goals are, what they can and cannot do, the better realtor I'm going to be for them.
Right.
I couldn't imagine going to them and saying, hey, let me tell me this, and this. However, don't tell me this, and this, because I may run into a conflict if a buyer comes. I can't do that, Frank. I can't do that. And to my lister, to my seller, they should have representation where someone can give them not only their full and undivided attention, but they can look at that person, that realtor, and say, look, this person is on my side. This person is representing me. This person, quote unquote, has my back in this sale. Whether it's one negotiation, two negotiations, one potential buyer, a different buyer, the seller is deserved no less, in my opinion. The seller deserves no less than a 100% honest, ethical, and very open fiduciary conversation and relationship with a realtor where they can actually just pour their heart out if they want to. And I encourage that. So under no circumstances do I want a seller to hold back from me if they truly want to explain to me what their position is, what they can and they cannot do. Does that make any sense? That sound right to you?
Makes a ton of sense.
Okay, so that's my opinion. I want that seller to, number one, feel open. I want them to trust me, okay? I want them to trust me, not just because of the initial vibe they get, but I mean, they've done their homework. They look at my past deals. They get all that stuff. But I don't want them ever, and this is very important, I don't want them ever to have a doubt in their mind, not during the negotiation, not at closing, not 5 days after closing, or 5 years after closing. I don't want them ever to have a doubt in their mind that they did not get my best. It can be jovial. We can go to dinner. They can be happy. There are social media posts. Everybody's happy. But if they have any suspect in their mind that, hey, did Eric really, do you think it's possible that we didn't get exactly what we could have gotten for that home? Is there any possibility that maybe it wasn't the best idea to let him do both sides? I don't ever want my character to be called into question. And that's a very personal thing with me, okay? That's a selfish thing, okay? And this is more about why it's best for the consumer. But again, from my standpoint, it's important to me personally on my reputation to not have anyone doubt that I didn't give them my very, very best. And friends, that is indeed Mr. Eric Clapton, which means I am up against the break, but we're right in the middle of this dual agency, and we will continue on the other side of the break. To participate, you call me directly, Mr. Frank Sparks. Mr. Frank Sparks will answer the phone, 724-843-1888 and 724-774-1888. Call and we'll talk about it, but more dual agency on the other side of the break. Right back.
Beaver County stations for news, sports, information, and entertainment. 1230 WBVP Beaver Falls and 1460 WMBA Ambridge.
And we're back. Hello, Beaver County, and welcome back to Your Personal Realtor with Eric McKenna. I'm a realtor with REMAX Advanced Realtors out of Swickley and Robinson Township, and we are here on Beaver County Radio every Wednesday from 2 to 4. Have a blast talking with all of you and seeing a lot of you on our Facebook Live feed If you're listening and you have a smartphone, you want to look at the Facebook Live feed and interact there, you can. Just go to the search bar at Facebook, type in Eric McKenna. I'll come up twice. The shorter tagline, that would be where our Facebook Live is. That's my personal page. You just hop right on there. And my business page is also there as well. It's Eric McKenna. It'll say calleric.com, Your Personal Realtor. Encourage you to visit both and encourage you to, if you'd be so kind, to give me a like on my Facebook business page. Much appreciated. Again, friends, we're here every Wednesday from 2 to 4, and we are talking today about dual agency. I am having this conversation with all of you, and of course, chiming in is our producer extraordinaire, Sir Frank Sparks, Mr. Beaver County himself. Before we continue, we want to get some housekeeping out of the way and talk about our great sponsors. Your Personal Realtor with Eric McKenna, of course, is sponsored by my website, calleric.com. I encourage you to visit there, and you can interact with me there. You can also check out my philosophies on real estate and how I work with both my buyer clients and my seller clients. Love to work with you. I can be your personal realtor. If you're looking for a realtor now, let's talk. Let's absolutely talk. My personal line to me is 412-613-4466. Again, it's 412-613-4466. Call or text me. Be glad to discuss real estate with you or do whatever I possibly can for you as well. And again, the website is calleric.com. Love to chat with you. We're also sponsored by our good friends at Frags Tags, located in downtown Coraopolis. Contact Frags Tags for all of your notary, title, and transfer needs. Contact Jonathan and Michelle or Michelle at Frags Tags. Tell them I sent you. 412-264-3018. Frank, you just love that name, don't you? Frags Tags. Awesome. Awesome people. Awesome service. They're awesome. Lifestyle, family, and portrait photographer Dawn Morris. From infants to toddlers, preteen to graduation, and beyond, let Dawn capture those special moments in your family and capture them in time. She's awesome. Great work she does. View Dawn's creative work at gypsysoulsphotography.com. Again, that's gypsysoulsphotography.com, or call Dawn today and book your appointment. You can, she's busy, but you can actually get in there, Frank. You can. 412-337-8348. 412-337-8348. Of course, we're sponsored by my good friend and what a wonderful mortgage representative, Miss Leslie Raymond with Union Home Mortgage. Contact Leslie for your mortgage needs. 412-719-5673. NMLS number 138287 and PA license 29666. And last but never least, Mr. Matt Pia from Division 9 Home Inspections. Matt is one of the top and one of the absolutely number one, most well-respected home inspectors in the Valley, and a frequent guest on Your Personal Realtor with Eric McKenna.
We haven't seen him in a while.
He's coming. He's coming. I was talking to him on the phone on the way down today. He's been extremely busy, which is always wonderful. We want that for all of our sponsors. We hope we contribute to that in some small way. But Matt made a commitment to me. He'll be on in the coming weeks. So, he said, he asked me point blank, though. He goes, Eric, has the green room hospitality any better? And
I'm not in charge. Sorry. I don't know. I noticed you getting beverages, so we must have accomplished something here.
Well, you can reach Matt, of course, at 412-715-8123. 412-715-8123. That's Matt Pia with Division, 9, inspection.com. Again, the Division, 9, inspection.com. Definitely a great website to view. If you're a homeowner, whether you're buying or selling or anything, and even if you just want questions about your house, that's a great source of information. Contact Matt. He'd be glad to help you. Great guy. Not at 3:30 in the morning. You don't want to call him, but I I didn't say that, did I?
I thought that happened, didn't it?
It didn't happen. No, that was just a little bit of a side joke we had many weeks ago. I used to say, call Matt anytime. He'd look at me and not at 3:15 in the morning. So, again, Frank, to pick up where we left off real quick here, dual agency, we talked about, hey, if you're a seller of a home and you enlist an agent to come and be your fiduciary have a fiduciary relationship and the confidentiality that goes into that, and represent you and serve you in listing and selling this home and moving you through the process, through negotiations and inspection negotiations and appraisal, and tie up all the loose ends with the closing company and get you to closing, why would you want them also to do the same thing with the buyer?
I wouldn't, because, Eric, realistically, I love you to death, but
Sure.
You know what? And I trust you.
I know you do.
So I would do that probably with you because, you know know
I wouldn't let you do it.
But I'm just saying, that would be my trust level. Mm-hmm. But realistically, if I'm out and I don't know Adam from Uncle, you know, and I'm not going to have the same person, because if I disclose to you, say I want $100,000 from a house, and I disclose to you, well, I'll take 85 for it. Well, then what's stopping you from going to your client? Because how do I know it's not your best friend? And saying, hey, man, Sparks take 85 for that house. Let's get it done. And the next thing I know, it's 85 and it's 85. And
Okay.
somehow I feel like I just got
Hammered.
Yeah, right.
Okay. The scenario you just gave is a natural feeling that I would say 99% of all home sellers that use dual agency ponder in their mind at some point in time, regardless who they use as their agent. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It doesn't matter. It could be your brother, your nephew, a family member. It's natural to feel that way. You shared the agent with the buyer. You shared them. If I'm working just for you, Frank, and I'm going to go, and I hate these terms, go into battle. I don't believe it should ever be phrased that way. But I'm going to enter into negotiations for your behalf with another party to buy your item. My only responsibility is to you. And conversely, the other agent who's representing the buyer, the only responsibility they have is to their buyer client.
It's like double taxation.
That's how it should be done.
Right.
That's how it should be done. And what we went to break last time, you know, I was explaining how it can be done ethically, you know, and everybody's got their own opinion of it. And I understand that. And I'm not here to say it's illegal, because it's absolutely legal. And I'm not here to say it's unethical, because it's not unethical. It happens, and people are generally satisfied all the time. I am here to tell you that my personal opinion and how I handle my practice is I do not believe it is in the best interest of the consumer. And that's why I won't do it. As I mentioned prior, I had it done to me as a consumer. I had one dual agency I fell into very early in my career. Luckily for me, knock on laminate, it was extremely smooth. But I made a point that it was very made aware to me at that moment, as smooth as that transaction was. How can you be an agent and give the type of service that I love to give to my clients and give it to both sides of a transaction? It doesn't make sense. So, friends, if you've been involved in a dual agency, I hope it went well for you. I really do. If you have any questions on it, or if you want to share your story, by all means, email me or call me, 724-843-1888 or 724-774-1888. If you're on Facebook Live and you have a question, by all means, let us know. And call into the station. Sir Frank Sparks will take your call. I do have two emails in front of me. How about this one, Frank? Heather. And Heather didn't say where she's calling from. Eric, I did dual agency. I feel I overpaid for the house. The communication was poor. I would never do this again. It was the worst experience, and I knew better, and I still did it. Don't do dual agency with 4 exclamation points. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's you know, I take what I do for my clients extremely serious. And that's what any realtor does. And I would say the vast, vast majority, 99% of them, do a great job. You know, my fellow realtors are awesome. They're awesome. But my philosophy may be a lot different than a lot of them, because they're comfortable handling both sides of a transaction, and they're comfortable with the process. I am not. I'm telling you as a consumer, and we'll get into we might as well get into it right now. You know, I'm very clear with my clients at the very beginning, especially my listing clients, very clear that I do not do dual agency. And oftentimes, Frank, it's funny, like I went to a listing appointment, not this one we talked about earlier today in Beaver, but I actually went to one in Wexford a couple days ago. Okay. And I interviewed for the job. This was a home that the husband and wife had a couple agents in, and it was my honor to interview for that job. The chips will fall where they may. But when I said to them that I do not partake or I don't participate in dual agency relationships in my practice, they looked at me like I was on like a space cadet. But like, well, does that mean like you would handle both sides of the transaction? I said, yes, I don't do that. And the wife looked at me and she goes, well, why would you shortchange yourself or what you mean? So I thought that was the whole benefit of, being an agent, that, you'd walk into some dual agency arrangements and, you would get both sides of the commission, almost as if it was expected that all agents do that, and I know a lot of agents that don't do it. I'm not the only one. There's plenty of agents that don't do it. But she was very genuinely surprised. And I said, look, everybody can tell you things. Everybody has cliches, and they have, when I tell you as my client, whatever commission in the end of the transaction is paid to my broker, that's not why I'm here. I am not an agent that puts dollar signs over top of my clients. I never have, and I never will. For me, it is about the activity and good business. I keep myself busy. I keep myself informed in the real estate market. I keep myself up as best I can, everything that's going on, so I can work strategically and effectively for my clients. We can get them to their goals the fastest way possible, the most ethical way possible, and certainly to their satisfaction. The client's ultimate opinion of what we do and how we do it and their feeling on the relationship is paramount. Everything else is secondary. And I believe that if you do great work in anything you do in this life, anything you do, the money will always follow. A great business philosopher by the name of Jim Rohn, R-O-H-N, a great guy. I would say he's a mentor to me. I've been reading Jim's things and listening to his stuff all my life. It feels like all my life, at least since my early 20s. He had a great phrase, and he used to say, never worry about the money. Never worry about the money. Worry about doing good business. If you do good business with enough people and enough people know you do good business, the money will follow. And it's true. And would you not agree, Frank? I mean, that is if you look at any good business out there, whether it's real estate, it can be anything. Good business is the key. Relationships are the key.
Oh, that's number one.
Frank you still run it? Frank had a very successful commercial flooring cleaning company.
Yep.
Okay. And when I first met Frank, he was really doing double duty here. But we had a conversation one day over lunch, and Frank reiterated this to me. I'm like, wow, did you know who Jim Rohn was? And Frank goes, no, I never heard of Jim. But the point was, Frank already knew. He goes, the money is never at the forefront. The relationship and the client satisfaction and the client loyalty is what you crave as a good business person. The money follows, and it doesn't matter. And if you do it enough times, the money follows in big numbers, in big ways. So my philosophy of my clients is I never look at a client with $1 over their head. And I would think most good realtors, most good business people, most good salespeople understand that. Really, I believe in the good in people, and I believe that's the case.
You could advertise all day long, Eric, no matter what you wanted to do, but the number one advertisement is word of mouth.
There's no question.
And
it's funny because even as much as I talk about social media advertising, and I really am entrenched in it, friends, and we'll talk about that in a second. But for my listeners, I really get into it, and in the end, reviews are wonderful. I've got a bunch of Facebook reviews on there. I've got other reviews on websites. They're all in my testimonial page. I'm very proud of that at calleric.com because they're genuine. But in the end, it really does happen behind the scenes. I'm talking about Sally calls Betty to talk about who their best realtor is, or they send a private email. It's not always public. You see what I mean? Right. It's those personal conversations that your clients have with other people.
Number one,
that's it.
Yeah, you got to get your name out there. Once you get your name out there, then Joe Schmo will say, hey, with your testimonials, they can read and go talk to whoever and say, hey, this is a guy I want to do my business with.
Right. And that's why this show is so attractive to me. When Mark Peterson, you presented it to me, it was because, hey, I love marketing. I love to get out there. I have no problem doing advertising. I love radio. I was already advertising on other radio stations as well. But this gave me the opportunity to speak directly to the public in a big way. And with the addition of Facebook Live, it's just phenomenal. But I really love to bring, my thoughts on real estate, my practices, and share those, but also convey a lot about myself. And, I'm not a person that does things for money. And what I mean by that is I don't put money at the forefront of my activities. When I was in the guitar business, I mean, it's hard for people to believe this. We had great success at Boogie Street, great success. But I never looked at a client with dollar signs over their head. It was really about what I used to call the Boogie Street experience. And that's when they opened this guitar, ultimately when it arrived at their house. But it even started with their interaction with us and the communication and everything. When they opened the guitar, the beauty of the guitar, the method in which it was shipped, the extras we put in there, the extra love that we gave that transaction, and seeing their satisfaction was amazing to me. And you're right, it spreads like wildfire. That was early in the inception of the internet, but it was, word of mouth was huge. And this is where it was an internet-only business. So word of mouth was indeed, people emailing and calling and texting and leaving reviews. But in the end, that same philosophy I used all those years has translated so well into real estate. I believe that my clients truly understand my philosophy, and we're there to get to the goal. Whether it's a $80,000 house or a $900,000 home, in the end, you'd be surprised. But the process that we use to get both clients satisfied and to closing and on to their next endeavor in life is very similar. And both can be equally as rewarding, and again, it's all about the philosophy. It really is about taking care of people. And that's it. That's just, that's I'll get off my high horse now, but that really is it. Client service is everything. And to do it, and to back to our original topic, I just view doing a dual agency not the best client service. And that's why I don't do it. So I'm hearing the Brothers Johnson. You got that to work over there, friend.
Yeah, so far.
Nice, good. Very good, very good. Friends, we're closing down the show here, but we have a little time left, and we're going to be right back after this break. You're listening to Your Personal Realtor with Eric McKenna on Beaver County Radio.
Beaver County's hometown radio stations, 1230 WBVP Beaver Falls and 1460 WMBA Ambridge.
And we're back. Friends, thank you so much for spending a good portion of your Wednesday afternoon with Sir Frank Sparks and myself on Your Personal Realtor with Eric McKenna. I'm a realtor with RE/MAX Advanced Realtors, and again, we're here every Wednesday from 2 to 4. Thank you for including us as part of your day. We are here live. That's right. We are, believe it or not, we're not Memorex. We are live at Beaver County Radio. Special thanks to our listening audience today. And there's been 6, Frank, I got 6 emails over here. We've only got to one of them, but we'll get to one more before I go off the air. Our Facebook Live has been wonderful. Thank you for joining us today. And, of course, at my website at calleric.com, the video of this show will be there for you, my good friends, to view and check out our content today. And our content has been the issue of dual agency. That is using an agent that is going to sell your house but also represent the buyer of your house, and how I do not include that as part of my practice. I'm uncomfortable with it, although I recognize that it is done successfully and ethically by realtors all over the country and, of course, more specifically, southwestern Pennsylvania. So it's just a choice that I make because I don't feel it best serves the public. We've gone into a great deal today, and I've got to thank Sir Frank Sparks. Frank actually gave me the idea of this because he asked me a question about what dual agency was weeks ago. He probably doesn't remember, but he said, "Hey, do realtors do that?" And I said, "Yes, they're permitted to do that. It's possible." And he looked at me all like cross-eyed. I said, "Well, there you go. If that isn't the reaffirmation I need to work this into a show, that here is Frank, a consumer, looking at dual agency and shaking his head." So I thank you, sir, for the spark of wanting to do this for the show today.
Sure.
Yeah, that was very good. We wanted to get into, after we finished dual agency, some specifics on what our recommendation, what you should look for when choosing a seller agent or /seller realtor, and also what to look for when hiring a buyer agent. And both of these we are prepared to get into today, but again, I never know how the shows are going to run. And we really kind of wanted to drive home the dual agency thing today, and also a little bit on my philosophy on how I treat my clients and how I view my clients and the importance of our relationship together. So we'll get to that next week as well. I want to talk about this one email I got. Carol, I'm going to, of course, Frank, I'm going to read the good email, right? Carol, thank you so much. Eric, I've been listening to your show. I first started listening on Saturdays. My husband's a big fisher, so what happened initially was he would get up and go fishing, and then I would already be up, and I started listening to Beaver County Radio like I always do, and then we tuned in, and then you moved to Wednesday. Good luck in your show. Thank you for doing what you do, and you have a lot of listeners out here regardless of how many calls you get. There you go. So, Carol, thank you so much. That's very nice of you. Thank you. And thank you for being part of the show, reaching out to me. Again, it's sold@calleric.com. Email me anytime, not just during the show. If I can answer questions for you on real estate, I will do it. You will get a response. If I can be your personal realtor, I'd love to do that as well. My personal line is 412-613-4466. Call or text. Again, 412-613-4466. Call or text me. I can be your personal realtor. I'd love to do that. Well, this is the time of the show, Sir Frank, that we're running down to the end, and we have to talk baseball. We have to do this.
All right.
So I know what you're going to hit me with, because you already kind of like hinted to it during the break.
No idea.
Should the Pirates be buyers or sellers?
You tell me. What do you think?
I think right now, legitimately speaking, everything in my essence wants them to sell, okay? Because I feel that there's probably some timing issues with Cole and relevance of salary and where he's going to be, and McCutchen as well. And McCutchen has certainly turned it around, at least offensively. But there's a part of me that, despite the sub-500 record, I do understand how baseball works. And baseball, kind of like hockey, I will tell you, but ultimately very different. The regular season is one thing, but when you get to the playoffs, all things are off. All bets are off. And if you squeak into the playoffs, although you're up against it, you can make it all the way. So should they try to go out and add a piece to get there? You know, and again, I know you have the Cubs having a bad season, but they can turn it on in a second. I get that. Milwaukee's not going to be there at the end. This is an anomaly. So knowing that you have the Cubs in front of you, and the Cardinals to a certain degree, are you able to find that piece or two to make the team better? I'd say you go out and go for it. I don't think the Pittsburgh public wants to have quite frankly, another youth development movement in Pittsburgh. I'll leave it at that. You get the last word.
Sell.
Yes.
He's not going to buy. So I like to just see him leave things the way they are throughout the rest of the year and finish out the year, because to me, in my opinion, I feel that the Pirates, even though they're maybe not have the record that's desirable, they're losing with the young talent.
Yes.
And they're getting major league experience.
True.
And to me, when the time does come to move McCutchen and to move Cole, I don't think it'll be as big of a hit to the Pirates, because, I mean, let's be realistic here. Elias Diaz has played great.
He's awesome.
Jose Osuna has played great. He's been an offensive threat more than what we thought he would be. And the brightest star of them all has to be Adam Frazier.
No question. I think I am so high on Diaz, I would absolutely, and I'm not kidding you, I'd be done with Cervelli. Win or lose, even if the experience isn't there yet, I'd be done with Cervelli. He is what he is, and he's, outside of being a tremendously nice guy and a female fan favorite, we know that.
Injury prone.
In the end, yeah, he's a very average. Diaz's defensive skills are phenomenal. His arm strength from the crouched position it's mind-numbingly good. And I just see him being the future defensively and offensively at the catcher position for the Pirates.
I would rather see, this is in all honesty, I would rather see than, I know Chris Stewart has been great for the Pittsburgh Pirates, but I'd rather see Jacob Stallings and Elias Diaz on the Pirates roster right now. If this is the route you're going to go and you're going to play this out through the year, then I'd rather see that.
I agree, and I'll lay something else on you too. It's not the wisest thing right now to get rid of Cole.
Right.
You still have 2 years under control. He's under your control for 2 more years.
Right.
That's, and I went through the same argument parochially as an A's fan with Sonny Gray. They wanted every year, Sonny Gray's going to get traded, Sonny Gray's going to get traded. Why trade him when you have years of control there?
Right.
So, and the McCutchen thing, I think in the end, Andrew McCutchen, more than likely, we'll turn it around. I believe that. I haven't been high on his defense, and I've been, the first to say, hey, he's batting 200. That's not good. But, what are you going to do fan-wise and alienate them if you get rid of McCutchen? You got to think about that from a marketing standpoint.
Let's be realistic. As bad as the National League Central is this year, the Pirates could possibly, if they play good, would squeak into the playoffs. Marte's ineligible.
I know.
Why would you get rid of McCutchen?
That's the other point, too. Friends, always good talking with you. You've been listening to Your Personal Realtor, Eric McKenna, on Beaver County Radio. And coming up soon is Town Hall News. But right now is a very special message from yours truly. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again next week.